Drew's dangerous game. A mystery shooter strikes in Port Charles. The sound of gunshots echoed through Drew Kane's house on a fateful evening, forever altering the landscape of Port Charles. The congressman who had spent months terrorizing the residents with his blackmail schemes and political power plays now lay bleeding on his living room floor, victim of an unknown assailant's bullets. Drew had returned home after another day of wielding his influence like a weapon, pouring himself a drink as he gazed at the engagement ring meant for Willow and their framed photograph. "It's all gonna work out, Willow, you'll see," he had whispered to the empty room, unaware that death lurked in the shadows. The first bullet struck him in the back without warning. As he collapsed, a mysterious figure loomed over him and fired again, ensuring the job was finished. What Drew didn't know was that he wasn't alone in the house. Hidden upstairs, Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor had broken in, desperately searching for the evidence Drew was using to blackmail Trina's mother, Dr. Portia Robinson. The young couple had discovered that Drew possessed hard copies of altered test results, showing Portia's tampering with Heather Weber's medical records, documents that could destroy her career and send her to prison. Trina had pleaded with Kai to help save her mother from Drew's ruthless grip. The congressman had been systematically destroying her parents' marriage, using the blackmail material to control and manipulate Portia, while Curtis Ashford watched helplessly as his wife spiraled under the pressure. Kai, finally seeing Drew's true nature after months of misplaced loyalty, agreed to help Trina locate and destroy the incriminating evidence. The investigation begins. News of the shooting sent shockwaves through Port Charles as Detective Dante Falconeri and Police Commissioner Anna Devane responded to the 911 call. The crime scene painted a grim picture. Drew had been shot twice at close range, suggesting this was no random act of violence but a calculated execution. As Dante surveyed the scene, the magnitude of the investigation became clear. "How many individuals do you believe wish to see Drew Kane eliminated?" Anna asked her detective, knowing the answer would be extensive. Drew had made enemies of nearly everyone in town through his reign of terror. The list of suspects seemed endless. Curtis Ashford had watched Drew destroy his marriage and threaten his family. Sonny Corinthos faced potential exposure of judicial bribes. Michael Corinthos had seen Drew manipulate his wife and children. Alexis Davis had been banned from seeing her granddaughter Scout due to Drew's restraining order. Carly Spencer had discovered disturbing truths about the man she once trusted. But as Dante began piecing together the evidence, certain clues started pointing in unexpected directions. The investigation would soon uncover that Trina and Kai had been inside the house during the shooting, their illegal entry adding another layer of complexity to an already tangled case. Secrets in the shadows. What Dante didn't initially realize was that the shooting was connected to a much deeper web of deception involving Nina Reeves. For months, Nina had been harboring a devastating secret affair with Drew while he was engaged to her daughter Willow. The relationship had begun as Nina's misguided attempt to protect Willow from Drew's manipulative nature, but it had evolved into something that would ultimately destroy any hope of redemption for the troubled mother. Nina had watched in horror as Drew systematically dismantled Willow's life, using his charm and manipulation to isolate her from Michael and the children. When Willow finally discovered the truth about Nina and Drew's affair at her own wedding, it shattered any remaining trust between mother and daughter. The custody battle that followed had been Drew's ultimate weapon, and Nina found herself powerless to help the daughter she was desperately trying to protect. As the pressure mounted and Drew's behavior became increasingly erratic, Nina had reached her breaking point. The woman who had spent years trying to rebuild her relationship with Willow could no longer stand by and watch Drew's destruction continue unchecked. The affair that was meant to be her weapon against Drew had instead become her greatest shame, and the only way to stop him seemed to require the ultimate sacrifice. The truth emerges. Days into the investigation, as Dante interviewed suspects and followed leads, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. Witnesses placed various suspects near Drew's house around the time of the shooting, but inconsistencies in their alibis started pointing toward a more complex conspiracy. The detective's methodical approach slowly unraveled the truth about Trina and Kai's break-in, their desperate search for evidence, and their presence during the shooting. When confronted with the evidence, Trina and Kai had no choice but to reveal their illegal entry into Drew's home. They described hearing the gunshots while they were searching Drew's study, their terror at being trapped in a house with an active shooter. Their testimony provided crucial timeline information, but it also raised new questions about who else might have known about their plan. The breakthrough came when Dante traced the sequence of events leading up to the shooting. Security footage and cell phone records revealed that Nina had been monitoring Drew's movements that evening, tracking his return home with an obsession that bordered on stalking. Her erratic behavior in the days following the shooting, combined with her knowledge of Drew's schedule and access to his house, painted a damning picture. A mother's desperate act. The final pieces of the puzzle fell into place when Dante discovered Nina's true motive. Phone records showed increasingly frantic calls between Nina and various contacts, as she realized that Drew's latest schemes were about to destroy not just Willow's custody case, but any chance of their family ever healing. Drew had made it clear that he intended to use Willow's relationship with Nina against her in court, painting the troubled mother as an unfit influence on the children. Nina's desperation had reached a fever pitch when she learned that Drew was planning to expose even more damaging information about her past, including details of their affair that would publicly humiliate Willow and destroy her chances of maintaining any relationship with her children. The realization that she had inadvertently become the weapon Drew would use to finish destroying Willow had driven Nina to take drastic action. Security cameras from nearby businesses captured Nina's car in the area around the time of the shooting, and forensic evidence from the crime scene would ultimately place her inside Drew's house. The gun used in the shooting was traced back to a weapon Nina had purchased weeks earlier, claiming she needed protection from threatening messages. The confrontation. When Dante finally confronted Nina with the evidence, the weight of her actions came crashing down. In the interrogation room, Nina's carefully constructed facade finally crumbled as she confessed to the shooting. Through tears, she explained how watching Drew manipulate and destroy Willow had become unbearable, especially knowing that her own past with Drew was being used as ammunition in his psychological warfare. "I never wanted Drew and Willow to be together," Nina admitted, her voice breaking as she faced the consequences of her actions. "But I never imagined that trying to protect her would make me the weapon he used against her. Every day I watched him tear her apart, using our history to control and manipulate her. I couldn't let him win." Nina described the moment she realized that Drew's ultimate plan was to expose their affair in open court, using it to paint Willow as the daughter of an immoral woman who couldn't be trusted around children. The thought of being responsible for Willow losing her children forever had been the final straw that pushed Nina over the edge. The aftermath. Drew's shooting had been Nina's desperate attempt to silence the man who threatened to destroy what remained of her family. But her actions had achieved the opposite effect. Instead of protecting Willow, Nina had ensured that her daughter would lose both her mother and any hope of a normal custody arrangement. The revelation that Nina was the shooter sent new shockwaves through Port Charles, as residents struggled to understand how the woman who had fought so hard to reconnect with her daughter could have made such a catastrophic choice. As Drew fought for his life in the hospital, the full scope of his manipulation and Nina's desperation became clear to everyone involved. Trina and Kai's testimony about their search for evidence helped illuminate the broader pattern of Drew's blackmail and coercion, providing context for Nina's increasingly erratic behavior in the weeks leading up to the shooting. The investigation revealed that Nina had been planning the shooting for days, carefully studying Drew's routines and waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Her knowledge that Trina and Kai would be in the house had been pure coincidence, but their presence had inadvertently provided additional cover for her escape from the scene. Justice and consequences. Dante's methodical investigation had uncovered not just the identity of Drew's shooter, but the complex web of manipulation and desperation that had led to that fateful evening. Nina's confession brought closure to the case, but it also opened new wounds for a family already torn apart by secrets and betrayal. The irony was not lost on anyone involved that Nina's attempt to protect Willow from Drew had ultimately accomplished exactly what Drew had intended: the complete destruction of the mother-daughter relationship and Willow's isolation from her support system. Nina's actions had given Drew the ultimate victory even as he lay fighting for his life in General Hospital. As Port Charles tried to make sense of the shocking turn of events, one thing became clear: the ripple effects of Nina's desperate act would be felt for months to come. Drew's reign of terror had finally been stopped, but the cost had been higher than anyone could have imagined. In trying to save her daughter from a monster, Nina had become one herself, ensuring that Willow would face the future alone and haunted by the knowledge that her own mother had blood on her hands. The case of Drew's shooting would go down as one of the most complex and tragic in Port Charles history, a stark reminder that sometimes the greatest threats come from those who claim to love us most, and that the road to hell is indeed paved with the best of intentions. Next, We're diving deep into the swirling rumors surrounding Maxie Jones's precarious situation in that high-tech coma care facility in Boston, where a shocking kidnapping twist might just upend everything before she even opens her eyes and heads back to the familiar streets of Port Charles. Let's start by setting the scene for this dramatic potential turn of events. Maxie, the ever-resilient fashionista and devoted mother, has been tucked away in the specialized Boston hospital after a mysterious collapse that left her in a deep coma. The spoilers circulating among dedicated GH fans suggest that just as the medical team inches closer to a breakthrough, an unforeseen abduction could snatch her away from safety. Imagine the tension. Nurses bustling around her bedside, monitors beeping steadily, and then poof vanishes under the cover of night. This isn't just idle speculation. It's rooted in the show's history of high-stakes twists that keep viewers on the edge of their seats. Could this be the handiwork of the enigmatic mystery boss? Who's been pulling strings from the shadows? It certainly feels like the next calculated move in a larger, more sinister game plan, one that could redefine Maxie's entire storyline and send ripples through the lives of everyone connected to her in Port Charles. To understand why a kidnapping might be on the horizon, we have to rewind to the root cause of Maxie's current plight. As loyal followers of the soap will remember, her sudden collapse wasn't some random accident, it was a deliberate ploy to silence her. Maxie had stumbled upon crucial evidence that could exonerate or implicate Sonny Corinthos in one of his many tangled webs of intrigue. The goal was crystal clear: keep her lips sealed and her knowledge buried deep in unconsciousness. Enter Jen Sidwell, the opportunistic villain who couldn't hide his glee when his shadowy partner supplied the exotic compound laced into a seemingly innocent cream. This toxic concoction was the perfect weapon, subtle yet devastating, ensuring Maxie slipped into a coma without raising immediate suspicions. Sidwell's involvement adds layers of complexity. He's not just a pawn but a key player reveling in the chaos. Now, with Maxie isolated in Boston, far from her support network of friends like Spinelli or family like Georgie, the stage is set for escalation. If whispers from insider sources are to be believed, this mystery accomplice isn't done yet. Abducting her could be the ultimate safeguard, preventing any chance of her awakening and spilling secrets that could topple empires in Port Charles. The Boston hospital itself plays a pivotal role in this unfolding drama, boasting a reputation as a beacon of cutting-edge medical innovation. Picture a state-of-the-art facility with gleaming corridors, top-tier specialists in white coats poring over lab results, and advanced equipment humming away as they decode the mysteries of Maxie's condition. Their team has been tirelessly conducting intricate lab research, analyzing the compound's effects on her system, and experimenting with potential antidotes. Sources close to the production hint that if these efforts reach a tipping point, say, a successful treatment protocol that could rouse Maxie from her slumberth mystery boss might feel cornered. Why risk her recovery and the inevitable testimony? A bold kidnapping would eliminate that threat entirely, whisking her away to some undisclosed location where she could be held indefinitely. This scenario draws from classic soap opera tropes, where heroes and heroines are often spirited away just as hope dawns, only to resurface later with even more explosive revelations. It's a narrative device that GH has mastered, blending suspense with emotional depth, and it could serve as the perfect catalyst for Maxie's next chapter, forcing her loved ones to embark on a desperate search that uncovers hidden alliances and betrayals. Adding fuel to the speculation fire is the much-anticipated return of fan-favorite actor Ryan Pavey to the GH canvas this September. While the showrunners have been tight-lipped about the details, the buzz is electrical. He'll be reprising his role as the beloved Nathan West, Maxie's late husband and his symbol of lost love. Pavey's charisma and chemistry with Kirsten Storms, who plays Maxie, were undeniable in past seasons, making his comeback a potential game-changer. Remember that poignant moment when young James West, Maxie's son, handed her Nathan's old police badge right before her transfer to Boston? It wasn't just a tear-jerking scene. It felt like a deliberate breadcrumb from the writers, hinting at unresolved threads from Nathan's storyline. Perhaps this badge symbolizes more than nostalgia. It could foreshadow Nathan's improbable survival, or a doppelganger twist. Fans have been dissecting every clue on social media, from subtle dialogue nods to wardrobe choices, building a case that Pavey's return ties directly into Maxie's coma saga. If he steps back into Nathan's shoes, it might not only heal old wounds, but also ignite new conflicts, especially if his character has evolved in unexpected ways during his absence. Of course, not all theories point to a heroic resurrection. Some veer into darker territory. It's tough to swallow the idea that Nathan himself could be the elusive mystery boss, orchestrating these events after all. He was the epitome of integrity as a detective, yet the daytime drama world thrives on the impossible, and there's a growing rumor mill suggesting a wild alternative. Peter August, the cunning and ruthless antagonist, might have undergone extensive plastic surgery to mimic Nathan's appearance. Peter, with his history of manipulation and obsession, has always been a diabolical force, capable of the most twisted schemes. Imagine him emerging from the shadows, face altered to perfection, embodying the man Maxie once adored. This wouldn't be about silencing her over Sonny's evidence, no. It could be a deeply personal vendetta, a warped bid to recapture her heart under a false identity. Peter's past with Maxie was fraught with deception and betrayal, but his fixation on her never truly faded. Kidnapping her in this guise would allow him to weave a web of illusion, convincing her that true love has returned from the dead, all while advancing his own agenda. It's a plot ripe with psychological tension, exploring themes of identity, trust, and redemption, or the lack thereof, and the high drama style that GH fans crave. Delving deeper into Peter's potential motives, we can't ignore his track record of elaborate cons. From faking deaths to forging alliances, he's proven time and again that no scheme is too outlandish. If he's indeed the mystery boss, partnering with Sidwell for the coma-inducing compound was just the opening act. A kidnapping would elevate the stakes, perhaps involving a secluded hideaway where Peter, disguised as Nathan, nurses Maxie back to health and isolation. He might spin tales of survival, claiming amnesia or a secret mission that kept him away, all to erode her defenses and reignite old flames. This invented element adds a layer of romantic intrigue, laced with danger. Will Maxie see through the facade, or will her longing for the past blind her to the truth? Meanwhile, back in Port Charles, her disappearance would mobilize a search party, with characters like Anna Devane or Dante Falconeri piecing together clues that lead to Peter's involvement. It's the kind of multi-threaded storyline that could span weeks, blending heartfelt reunions with shocking confrontations, and ultimately forcing Maxie to confront her deepest emotions, regardless of who's pulling the strings, be it a revived Nathan, a transformed Peter, or some other shadowy figure. Spoilers strongly indicate that Maxie is poised to go missing before her triumphant return. This plot device isn't new to soaps. It's a tried and true way to build suspense and allow for character growth off-screen. With Kirsten Storm set to reprise her role, her comeback could coincide with a dramatic rescue or escape, revealing layers of conspiracy that shake the foundations of Port Charles. Fans are already theorizing about alliances forming to find her, perhaps involving unlikely teams like Sonny and Jason Morgan. Putting aside differences for the greater good, the mystery boss's plan, whatever it entails, seems designed to isolate Maxie, but her resilience has always been her superpower. When she does resurface, expect fireworks, confessions, showdowns, and maybe even a wedding or two derailed by the revelations. So, who do you think is the mastermind behind this potential kidnapping? Is it Peter in disguise, a ghostly Nathan, or someone entirely new? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Love hearing from our GH community. And remember, stay tuned to ABC General Hospital every weekday for the latest twists. And check back here for all the hottest spoilers, updates, and insider news. Don't miss a beat in the world of Port Charles.